I am the real daughter who is reviled by thousands of people. My fiancé thinks I am narrow-minded and not gentle and decent enough. Netizens say that I am not as candid as the fake daughter and that my thoughts are deep and dark. My wealthy parents believe that I will drive their daughter away and are on guard against me everywhere. Even my best friends secretly said that I am two-faced and not worthy of deep friendship. Since no one likes me, I don't need them either. I will have my own life. I'm waiting for my flight at the airport. The pedestrians coming and going look in a hurry. I hold my phone in my hand, and my fingers unconsciously tighten their grip. The chat interface between me and Zoe is displayed on the screen. Zoe is my fiancé whom I have been in love with for 10 years, but at this moment, he is questioning me for the sake of Heidi. Winnie, you are a singer, and you will have plenty of opportunities to sing in the future, but Heidi will only sing this once. Why are you competing with her for it? I feel inexplicably tired. Zoe, you know this song has a different meaning to me. The man on the other end ignores my words. She is your sister. Why are you so narrow-minded? I fall silent. It turns out that when people are extremely disappointed, they really have nothing to say. I recall the way Zoe looked at me with all his love when we first got together. He was so serious when he said he wanted to be with me for a lifetime. Our two families set the engagement as soon as we graduated from university. From high school until now, we have accompanied each other for 10 years. It seemed that we were going to continue to the next stage of our lives, but somehow, he has become Heidi's friend. He has become her brother Zoe. Our conversations have become more and more perfunctory. They say that when love fades away, the other half will be acutely aware of it. But it is only now that I have truly let go of this 10-year relationship. Zoe, let's break up. I put down my phone and stop looking at his messages. I close my eyes and try to briefly withdraw from the world, until the phone rings again. It's a call from my mother. There is a hope surging in my heart that I am not even aware of, until the call is connected. Winnie, you are the heir of the Taylor family, and our family business will be left to you in the future. Heidi has nothing. Do you really have to compete with her for this song? It's the same kind of words again. They always say that Heidi has nothing, and then they offer all the things that belong to me to her. They never care about my feelings at all. Sure enough, before I can reply, the voice of a middle-aged man comes from the other end again. Winnie, when will you finally be sensible? Do you really have to drive your sister away to feel at ease? But clearly, I have never wanted to compete with Heidi for anything. It is she who is gradually encroaching on my world. I remember the scene when I returned to the Taylor family at the age of 16. Heidi timidly poked her head out from the stairs. She was like a delicate and beautiful doll, and I had just experienced a car accident and hastily buried my adoptive parents. I was in a mess, like an ugly duckling setting off her beauty. At that time, my mother probably still had some pity for me. She gently wiped the dirt off my face with a wet towel. She told us to get along well. My adoptive parents were very kind to me. If they hadn't been killed in the car accident and I couldn't afford the tuition fees, I wouldn't have sought out the Taylor family. Now that I have returned to this, my so-called real home, I have also placed myself in the position of a lodger. Not only did I not want to compete with Heidi for anything, but I also took great care of her, at least at that time. I truly regarded her as my sister, but later, Heidi used her innocent eyes to say aggrieved words again and again, and pinned unwarranted things on me. At first, I told myself, I am the elder sister, and I am an outsider. I need to give in to my younger sister. But gradually, my parents' attitude towards me became more and more indifferent. Under Heidi's instigation, they believed that I wanted to take everything away from Heidi and drive her out of the house. My friends also started to distance themselves from me one by one, first my ordinary friends, and then Zoe. They all gathered around Heidi and looked at me indifferently. Later, both Heidi and I entered the entertainment industry. She chose to become an actress, and I chose to debut through a talent show variety program. With the resource arrangement of the Taylor family, Heidi got a lot of good scripts and had a smooth journey, gaining a certain amount of popularity. The talent show variety program I was in was suppressed by the investors, and it had very low popularity and was little known. Later, I became popular with an original song, but many unwarranted negative rumors about me were exposed. At this time, Heidi released a video of her privately singing this song, and implied in her words that I had stolen her song. I don't know how she could produce those evidences, but I clearly know that this is a song to which I have poured countless emotions. But netizens don't care, they only believe what they see. For a while, there were scolding voices about me all over the internet. Heidi's fans spammed my social media, and the comments and private messages were more and more vicious. Occasionally, there were fans who were willing to speak up for me, but they were also severely scolded. They don't care about the truth. They just want popularity, including my brokerage company. They said that being popular through negative publicity is also a kind of popularity. Instead of clarifying, they even bought hot searches to add fuel to the fire. In the end, there was only one unified voice on the internet: Winnie, get out of the entertainment industry. The phone rings again, and it's Riley. She is my best friend and the only friend who hasn't distanced herself from me because of Heidi. Perhaps people will subconsciously seek warmth when they are in despair. I almost eagerly answer the phone. I've seen it all. Are you okay, Winnie? As she spoke, Riley's voice carried a bit of apology. I still have some things to deal with. You have to take good care of yourself. Even though I know the person on the other end of the phone can't see me, I still nod heavily. In the endless accusations and pain, I finally seem to have received some warmth, until her next words ring out. It seems that she didn't realize that the phone wasn't hung up. And the conversation of girls came from the other end. Aren't you tired of pretending to be her best friend by her side every day? I pause. It's Heidi's voice. Riley still speaks softly, but her words make me feel as if I've fallen into an ice cellar. Don't you think it's more fun this way? Winnie is really bad and stupid. I didn't hear the following words clearly because the phone slipped out of my hand unconsciously. It fell heavily to the ground. The message notification sound is still ringing, but I don't have the mood to look at it anymore. Who knows if there will be another Riley? At that moment, I suddenly want to laugh. The people I trusted wholeheartedly actually dislike me so much. A feeling of being abandoned by the world wraps around me, and I am engulfed by the internal consuming emotions just like in countless days and nights in the past. I seem to be seriously ill. I keep questioning desperately over and over again. If they dislike me so much, why did they get close to me? If everyone abandons me, why was I born into this world? I don't know the answers. Loneliness and sadness have weight. They squeeze my body little by little, pressing me into a small ball. I squat on the ground, unable to catch my breath, until the announcement reminding me to check in and board the plane rings. I seem to regain some strength. I stand up again, without any luggage. I embark on a journey to a foreign land alone, on the plane. I watch the pedestrians below gradually become smaller, until they turn into black dots that can no longer be seen. A sense of unprecedented lightness wraps around me. Perhaps I should have withdrawn from this whirlpool long ago and lived my own life. I went to Northern Europe. I went to a remote town that is said to be very good at healing people's hearts. There are not many pedestrians on the road here, and there are tall trees on both sides of the road. It is late autumn now, and the branches are all bare. They are like the ones planted in front of the ancient castles in the movies. The houses stand quietly in rows. The cream-white exterior walls are matched with brick-red roofs. When it gets late, everything looks cold and peaceful. I finally seem to be living a quiet enough life, away from all the malice. I prepared well in advance for this escape. I bought a delicate small house with a yard. I arranged the furniture and decoration in advance. I was already unknown enough in China, and here, no one knows me at all. Before leaving, I terminated my contract with the company and cancelled all my social media accounts. After coming here, I no longer pay attention to those right and wrong matters. There are not many people in the town, and many houses are idle. Several houses near my small house happen to be empty. As for the residents further away, they are a bit curious about me, this mysterious Chinese neighbor. But not many people take the initiative to visit. I am glad that no one disturbs me, and I can do the things I like to my heart's content. For example, writing songs, and making desserts. My parents and the Taylor family always said that the Taylor family's business would be left to me in the future, so Heidi always thinks that I have taken away what belongs to her. She is on guard against me and at the same time snatches my things. But compared to that cold company, I have things I like more. I turned the first floor of the small house into a coffee shop. I decorated it in the style I like. I placed a few tables and chairs. Behind the bar counter, there are an oven and a microwave oven. Next to the oven are several exquisite coffee machines. There is a whole wall of bottles filled with various coffee beans. There is an old-fashioned gramophone that I specially found in the store. It plays the songs I wrote every day. It is gentle and warm, just like my current state of mind. I have obtained a certain wonderful peace. I don't expect this store to make money for me. The savings I have accumulated over the years are enough for me to live a good life for the rest of my life. I just like to spend my afternoon time here. I grind a pot of fragrant coffee with my own hands, then I bake a few small biscuits. The sunlight will shine through the transparent glass wall, and then gently sprinkle on the solid wood table in front of me. I no longer pay attention to the information from the outside world. I just manage and enjoy my own world. I don't know how much time has passed. The yard is filled with flowers, and the coffee shop is soaked in the fragrance of coffee beans day after day. The warm spring sun gently shines into the courtyard, and this store finally welcomes its first customer. It was an ordinary afternoon. The door was pushed open by a pair of white hands. I stop what I'm doing and look up. It is a white girl. She has curly golden hair and emerald green eyes. She is like a beautiful and lively elf in a fairy tale. Meeting my gaze, she is a bit stunned. She seems to have not expected that the owner of this small house is a girl from the East. After hesitating for a while, Alice speaks in broken Chinese. Hello, your flowers are very beautiful. Can I have one? She seems a bit embarrassed and adds in a flurry, I can pay you for it. After living alone in a foreign country for so long. Hearing Chinese again makes me feel as if I have traveled through time. I smile and answer in fluent English. Of course you can. In order to go abroad, I naturally practiced my oral English well in advance. Alice's emerald green eyes light up with surprise. I hold her hand and walk out of the coffee shop, introducing these flowers to her. The ones as charming as a young girl, covering the whole wall, are luo-e roses. Below, the ones that are orange-yellow, elegant, and bright are Lady of Shallot roses. The blue-purple ones scattered around the garden are clematis named Beer and Lizard. I smile, like a mother showing off her children. Every flower here was transplanted by me with my own hands. The villa of the Taylor family where I used to live was in southern China. These flowers I love couldn't adapt to the hot and humid climate there. Plus, they were always accidentally damaged by Heidi and scattered all over the ground, even though I took good care of them. There were only a few left in the end. Later, I simply gave up on planting flowers in the Taylor family's villa. Now, they are thriving in the slightly cold and dry northern Europe. They are blooming brightly and beautifully. I hold Alice's hand and gently stroke the white and soft petals of the star jasmine. A strange sense of pride surges in my heart. This is my garden. I gave Alice a luo-e rose, and she is as lively and lovely as the flower. After that, Alice would come to my place and sit for a while from time to time. She would have a cup of coffee and a few pieces of pastries, and take a stroll in the yard with me. Perhaps because I have been alone for too long, I don't mind having such an elfin-like girl bring some vitality here from time to time. Compared to Alice, the second customer seemed to be more interested in something else. She pushed the door open in a hurry, with her face covered tightly by a hat and a mask. She looked like a robber who had been planning for a long time. There are few people here, and the public security is quite good, so I wasn't too flustered. Zara's eyes exposed outside the mask carried a look of weariness. After confirming that there was only me, an Oriental girl, in the store and basically no other customers, she took off her mask and hat, revealing a look of relief. A cup of Americano and some cookies, please. I really didn't know her, but having been in the entertainment industry before, I was no stranger to this state. She was a big star who had escaped from the paparazzi and her assistant. While grinding the coffee, I secretly observed Zara's expression. At first, she looked relaxed. It seemed that she had finally found a place quiet enough. Then she listened carefully to something. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. When I put the coffee and cookies in front of her, she gently grabbed my wrist. Sorry, the song here is really nice. May I ask the name of the song? The song playing in the coffee shop now is a song that I haven't published. I wrote it after I came here. For this, I also taught myself mixing. When she learned that it was a song I created myself, Zara showed a bit of doubt. Do you want to listen to something else? I smiled and walked over to the gramophone and switched to the next song. After listening to 5 or 6 songs with my unique style, Zara hugged me excitedly. Can I buy one of your songs? Or, could you please write another song for me? I was a bit hesitant. I had a good impression of Zara, but I didn't really want to get involved in this circle again. At present, with my low requirements for material life, my savings are enough for me to live a comfortable life for the rest of my life. I can give you one song as a gift. I thought for a while and then said slowly, I write songs just like I plant flowers, not for fame or profit, just for my own happiness. Previously, Heidi's company wanted to buy my original song that became popular with a large sum of money, but I didn't even bother to respond. But facing Zara, who I liked at first sight, I didn't mind giving her a song directly. just like giving Alice the Luo E rose. However, Zara wasn't very happy. I'm very grateful. But my company won't agree. She looked into my eyes and said sincerely, they won't accept it peacefully. They will just think that you want more. I thought so too. There is so much intrigue in the entertainment industry. Sincerity and trust are too luxurious. After that, we didn't talk about buying the song anymore. We just drank coffee and listened to the melodious music. When Zara left, she left me her contact information. She said that I could contact her if I thought it over. I knew that such a busy person might not have time to come to this store again. I smiled and accepted it and kept it carefully. I didn't expect to use this contact information so soon, just like I didn't expect to see Alice again in such a situation. The usually lively girl pushed open the door of the coffee shop with red eyes. A cup of Americano, please. Alice's voice was filled with deep weariness. I raised my eyebrows. The little girl is afraid of bitterness. She used to only order latte with milk when she came here. This was the first time she asked for an Americano. I put a plate of freshly baked cookies in front of her. This is for you. Then I just looked at her without saying a word until Alice threw herself into my arms crying. Ellie has a very serious illness. The doctor said that an organ transplant is her only hope of survival. But the director of the orphanage can't afford it, and he can't use all the money for Ellie. After getting to know me, Alice would occasionally bring a few little girls to play at my place. I was surprised that Alice came from an orphanage, but these girls from the orphanage are all very well behaved. My small yard and I also welcomed these little visitors. Ellie was the most taciturn one among them. Every time, she would just look at me with a timid expression, just like an abandoned puppy. People say that the medical security in Northern Europe is very good. It can provide free medical treatment, but that is only limited to public hospitals. Facing the urgent need for an organ transplant, the expensive private hospitals are almost the only choice. Perhaps because she has felt my kindness, perhaps because the delicacy of the yard and the small house made Alice think that I had the ability to pay. Driven by despair, after struggling, she still chose to ask me for help. Alice sobbed in my arms like a kitten. I gently patted her back and soothed her softly. But in my heart, I was calculating my savings. I originally thought that the savings I had accumulated over the years were enough for me to spend the rest of my life quietly, but perhaps everything was doomed the moment Alice pushed open the door. I thought for a while and then said gently, "Don't worry, go back and wait for my news. I will find a way." Alice nodded with tears in her eyes. She sat for a while longer and then left in a hurry. She didn't even have time to take a look at the newly bloomed heather in the garden. Money is really a wonderful thing. I remembered that my adoptive mother always liked to save money. At that time, I was always very confused. "Mom, why do you like saving money so much? Do you have any wishes?" She would always look at me and my adoptive father with gentle eyes. These savings can be our last guarantee when facing some natural disasters and man-made disasters. However, my dear mother, that car accident was too terrifying. Even though most of my mother's savings were spent, she still couldn't save her and her husband's lives. But it seems that I can protect the people I want to protect, not just Ellie. I looked thoughtfully at Alice's back as she left. It shouldn't be difficult for such a lively and lovely elfin-like girl to find a family to adopt her, unless she also has a serious illness. Without hesitation, I dialed the phone number Zara left and agreed to her request to buy a song. As expected of a big star, the efficiency of her work team is very high. They brought the contract to the small house on the same day. I read the contract carefully and raised my eyebrows. In addition to the requirement of buying that song, the contract also decided to let me write another song for her. This second song will be a duet between us. I instinctively wanted to refuse, but they offered so much. Zara sitting opposite me winked at me. I could only smile helplessly. The contract was signed, and they quickly paid half of the money. As for the remaining half, it will be paid off after we finish the duet song. The autumn in the small town is lonely, the withered yellow leaves and the slightly cold air. The already sparsely populated street looks even more empty. You often have to walk a long way to see one or two shops that are open. They emit a warm light color in the cold night. I have become less and less fond of going out. The previous matter has been resolved. Ellie found a suitable donor, and the surgery went smoothly. At my strong request, Alice had a detailed examination. As expected, she had a rather serious illness, Fanconi anemia. Fortunately, it was only in the initial stage. She still often comes to my small house. She accompanies me to clean up the fallen leaves and take care of the flowers and plants in the yard. The cooperation with Zara went very smoothly, or rather, it was too smooth. I still underestimated her influence. This superstar, who is famous for her songwriting and singing, was singing someone else's work for the first time. With the extremely high topic popularity and the good quality of the song itself, this song became popular all over the world at once. It has a great hope of winning awards. Even in China, there was a lot of praise. Zara's company is very excellent. They immediately took advantage of the momentum and released a preview of the duet. On the promotional poster, in the area opposite to Zara is the silhouette of a girl. It is specially marked below that the singer, Night, is from China. It's the same as the songwriting and composing credits of that extremely popular song. For a while, everyone was talking about this mysterious singer from the East. It was a sensation in China. I just wanted to laugh when I read those comments that praised me, sang my praises, and even deified me. I wonder how many of those people who regard me as the new legend of the Chinese music industry once spoke maliciously and hurl invectives at me mercilessly. I wonder if they can still praise me so highly when they know it's me. Of course, Alice told me all these things. I didn't have the heart to pay attention to these disturbances at all. I was writing the song that Zara and I were about to sing as a duet. The experiences during this period gave me a lot of inspiration. I almost smoothly determined the theme. Then I arranged the music and wrote the lyrics. I skillfully integrated the unique styles of Zara and me. After finishing writing, I immediately applied for copyright certification. Although the experience of Heidi stealing my song has passed for a long time, but it still makes me a bit scared. After completing the copyright certification, I sent the song to Zara's manager. After thinking about it, I also sent it to a WeChat friend marked as Teacher Lin. This was my teacher in university. At that time, I was determined to study music. My sister laughed at me. My fiancé didn't have high hopes for me. The wealthy couple also advised me not to indulge in play and lose my ambition. She was almost the only one who supported me. Not long after Zara sang the song she bought, I received a WeChat message from Linda. Winnie, Night is you, right? My blood relatives didn't try to contact me after I escaped, but this little old lady, who was just lucky enough to be my teacher, tried every means to find out my medical records and whereabouts. On the one hand, she felt sorry for her student who had such an illness, and on the other hand, she was worried that her student might hurt herself. So, with her silver hair, she resolutely crossed an unknown distance and came to a foreign country. She didn't have the address, only knowing which airport in which country it was. Fortunately, this country is not as vast as China. She walked and stopped, as if she was searching, and also as if she was on a trip. Finally, after spending nearly a year in this strange country, Linda pushed open the glass door. She looked into the eyes of her most proud student. Winnie, the teacher has found you. Later, the song that Zara bought became very popular in China, and she also played a role in promoting it. Now, after listening to my newly written song, and hearing the story behind it, the old lady was both proud and hurt. She wiped her tears and laughed heartily at the same time. Days passed by. Things seemed to be getting better little by little. Alice and the children's health improved a lot. Their originally thin and pale little faces had a bit more flesh. It's just that all the flowers in the garden withered in winter. The yard became bare. The children were not as happy as before either. The cooperation with Zara went smoothly. The work such as recording the song was completed quickly, but they weren't in a hurry to release it. The effect of this song was much better than they expected. They decided to wait until Christmas to make a big splash. I didn't really care much about these things. The winter made me feel a bit lazy. I just wanted to sit by the fire in the small house all day long, with a cup of hot cocoa and a small plate of cookies. Let the fleeting time slip through my fingers. It's just that Alice said I had gained weight. I grabbed her little face. That annoying little girl. They are still so silly. Sometimes they come to me even when it snows heavily outside. I can only pat the snowflakes off their bodies distressfully, and ask them to change their clothes and sit by the fireplace to warm themselves. I can only scold them a few words helplessly, then watch them smilingly warming themselves by the fire. Recently, I've suddenly been very inspired. I always write songs while sitting by the fireplace. I hum a few lines from time to time, just like every ordinary winter day. The sound of the door opening rang out on the snowy night. I was sipping cocoa by the fireplace and didn't even look up. Go and change your clothes and come to warm yourself by the fire. Seeing that there was no movement for a long time, I looked up in confusion. It was a very tall man, dressed like a British gentleman, with delicate facial features and a very handsome Western face. In his hand, the long-handled umbrella was still dripping water onto the ground, and behind him was the snowy night scene. The fragrance of the hot cocoa filled the air, and the warmth from the fireplace made people feel an indescribable sense of peace. Andy, Winnie, this was our first meeting. Perhaps it was because I hadn't met anyone speaking Chinese in Northern Europe for a long time. Or perhaps Andy really looked like a gentle gentleman. Although I didn't know why we were exchanging names, I cooperated and responded. A trace of curiosity also rose in my heart. A Chinese name, fluent Chinese, but a Western face. Was he of mixed race? Before I could speak, the light blue eyes of this handsome mixed-race man showed a bit of apology, and he asked in a low voice, "The snow is too heavy. I want to come in and have a cup of cocoa. Are you still open for business?" "Of course." I got up with a smile and ground a cup of steaming cocoa for him. I motioned for him to go to the fireplace beside to keep warm. He obediently agreed. After that, we didn't talk. We both sat quietly by the fire, sipping the cocoa, until it was late at night and the snow stopped. Andy looked at the time, looking as if he had just woken up from a trance. He left the money for the cocoa and left in a hurry. I watched his back disappear into the night and didn't pay much attention. He was just a passerby I met by chance, as I expected. After that, I didn't see Andy again for a rather long time. Everything that happened that night seemed to be just a wisp of dream in the cold winter night. Christmas was approaching. The joyous songs were melodious. The shops were all decorated with colorful ornaments. The cold and quiet town finally had a bit of a lively atmosphere. I wasn't really interested in these things originally, but at the strong request of Alice and the others, I still hung bells and gifts on that poor little tree in the corner of the yard. I decorated it to look like a Christmas tree. On Christmas Eve, the night fell. The children and I held ginger tea in the coffee shop. We sat around the fireplace, chatting and laughing. For the first time, my written songs weren't played in the store. Instead, a lively Christmas-themed nursery rhyme was played. The joyful atmosphere made people feel warm inside. A hand pushed open the glass door. Those old eyes sparkled with a crafty light. I got up and hugged the person who came in, speaking before her. "Welcome, my dear teacher. Aren't you going to welcome me, Knight?" The woman's voice carried a bit of blame. I was a bit excited by the sudden arrival of my teacher and ignored the woman beside her who was wrapped up tightly. After looking closely and recognizing her, I quickly said, "Of course. You're also welcome, our big star." Zara smiled and walked closer to the coffee shop. "There's an online launch event for that song today, and I came to watch it with you. I happened to meet Teacher Lin on the way, so we came together." As the night grew deeper, we turned off the Christmas music and put away the wooden tables and chairs. We all sat on the soft, low sofas. There were cookies and hot drinks on the table. On the wall, the projector showed the live broadcast of the launch event. The person involved, Zara, sat beside me without showing any signs of nervousness. Of course, neither of us was nervous. Don't get me wrong, we both love this song very much, but we don't care about its influence. That's just the most insignificant aspect of this work. However, it seems that we still underestimated it. I wrote the lyrics and composed the music, continuing my usual style. There was an unquenchable sadness and a touch of hope. Zara's singing style is particularly full of vitality. It created an unimaginable wonderful effect when combined. The chorus wasn't sung by Zara, nor was it sung by me. It was Alice. I wrote a prayer song for her in the local language of the small town. The pure and clean voice of the young girl seemed to be able to directly touch people's hearts. It gently touched everyone. As soon as the song named "The Girl Praying at the End of the World" was released, it became popular around the world at an astonishing speed. They said that this was the most healing song of the year. It was said that the suicide rate in the coming year was reduced by a lot because of this song. This kind of song that praises redemption, holiness, and tenderness is the most likely to win awards abroad and has won a lot of fans. But all that celebration and support are only related to Zara and Knight. The manager lamented the wisdom of buying this song at a high price in the first place, but Zara often sent messages accusing me. She and her team were so busy that they didn't even have time to come to the coffee shop, and I, hiding behind the pseudonym, was freely enjoying my life. The second floor of the small house is a small attic, and you can see the outside scenery through the glass windows. Taking advantage of the fact that the surrounding houses were unoccupied, I really liked to keep the windows open, while enjoying the scenery outside. I practiced musical instruments. I played some of my favorite pieces. The summer in the small town was a bit stuffy. The ivy winding on the opposite building was a vivid green. It was like a wall full of vitality. Just by pushing open the window and looking at it, it was as if the wind was blowing through my hair, bringing a trace of coolness. I often played the flute here recently, accompanied by the sound of the wind and the shadows of the trees. Suddenly, an inexplicable piece of music broke into my world, the sound of the piano, like flowing water. Intertwined with the sound of the flute, I suddenly looked over and met the eyes of the man on the opposite building. This piece of music was called Golden Hour. It was grand, sad, and warm. It was like a bright sadness. We played together in tacit agreement. It was as if we were old friends who had known each other for many years. The afternoon sun shone through the gaps in the branches, ambiguous and gentle. At this moment, the wind lifted the hem of my skirt, stirring the fluttering heart of the whole summer. This was my second meeting with Andy. He seemed to be very idle. Not only did he move into the house next door, but he also often came to the coffee shop to help. Alice secretly asked me why I had found a waiter. We just smiled. Andy didn't say why. I didn't want to ask either. We tacitly allowed this ambiguous atmosphere to surround us. Did I like him? Probably. At least I didn't mind starting a close relationship with him. Did he like me? Perhaps. I don't really care about feelings anymore. My 10-year relationship with Zoe could end so easily, not to mention Andy, who I had only met a few times. I was willing to accompany him and leave some beautiful memories for each other, but it was hard for me to rely on him wholeheartedly again. It was enough to cherish these moments. After many years, I was on the trending searches again, not as Knight, nor as Winnie. Someone took photos of Zara entering this coffee shop, and also the scene of her excitedly hugging me after I shared my inspiration with her. So, the famous international actress keeps a beautiful young woman, topped all the domestic and foreign lists. Zara, who had just become popular, was undoubtedly a huge topic center. She naturally attracted a lot of attention and popularity. Some people lamented that the emotional life of a top diva was like this. Some people called for paying attention to the works and not caring too much about the singer's private life. Even some fans of the Zara and Knight CP were silently heartbroken. I laughed so hard that I almost fell over when I read these comments. Andy's face, however, was very gloomy. I didn't know why. Looking at his gloomy face, I laughed even more happily, until a comment caught my eye. Does anyone think that that beautiful young woman looks a lot like Winnie? Although this comment didn't get much attention, I suddenly realized that for some people, this blurry photo was enough for them to recognize me, and then, find me. Half a month later, the two hashtags, Zara's beautiful young woman and Winnie Knight, once again topped the lists. This time, someone released a frontal photo. Along with it were also photos of me going to Zara's studio to record songs. Some people on major websites brought up the name of the person who had been driven out of the entertainment industry by scolding. Knight's fans gradually went through Winnie's once dark and unknown past experiences. Finally, some people found that there was no evidence at all for those unwarranted negative rumors. Finally, some people began to raise questions. Along with that, the plagiarism incident with Heidi was also dug up. This time, there weren't so many people protecting her. Knight's influence was much greater than hers, people all said. With Knight's ability to write such songs, does she still need to plagiarize from her? It was so familiar. These were the words they had said to me back then. But now the situation between the two sides had been reversed. I wonder what they would do. However, I was pleased to see that after the impact of the two plagiarism incidents, finally, some people had learned to stay silent and wait for the truth. Zoe came to me at this time. He was pulling a suitcase and standing at the door of the coffee shop. His expression was complicated, and he looked tired from the journey. When he saw me, his eyes lit up, and he reached out to grab me. Winnie, you should come back with me quickly. Apologize to Uncle and Aunt. Everyone is very worried about you. And Heidi, you don't know how much trouble you've caused her. I took a step back and dodged his hand. Zoe, we have already broken up. Zoe's face darkened. I never agreed to it. Sorry, I don't need your agreement. I turned around and walked into the coffee shop without looking back. Zoe still didn't give up. His eyes showed a fierce look, and he wanted to chase into the coffee shop, but a dark muzzle was pointed at his head. Sir, here, trespassing on private property can result in being shot on the spot. Andy smiled gently and innocently. Don't worry, I have a gun license. Zoe's face became even darker, but he didn't dare to get any closer. He could only stand outside the yard and call me, Winnie. Stop being childish, we're all adults. Can't you be more mature? I poured a cup of coffee for Andy and myself. Well, Then you can call the police. Zoe left, but I knew that he would come back, not only him, but also the people from the Taylor family, and the fans of Zara and Knight. For the small town, this was a good thing. The increase in the number of people would bring about economic development and the prosperity of tourism. But for me, this place was no longer quiet. It was time for me to leave. I found Alice and said goodbye to her and the children, promising that I would definitely come back to see them. The young girl's big eyes were filled with tears. Winnie, then where will you go? I stroked her head, but my eyes were looking into the distance in a daze. I'm going back. Teacher's 80th birthday is coming up soon. There were some things that I should deal with. Alice hugged me tightly. I will take good care of your flowers. I nodded with a smile. I know you will. Unlike Alice, Zara needed to go to an event with me, so in this small town, there was only one person left for me to say goodbye to. Andy still looked at me gently. His blue eyes, like the sea, seemed to want to drown me. I looked at him seriously. You know about me. It was a plain statement, not a doubt. Andy looked at me. I know your Knight. My gaze became sharp. And I didn't plan to give him any room for retreat. You know I'm Winnie. He didn't deny it. He had always known. He knew I was Winnie, and he knew my dark past that was reviled by thousands of people. I don't care. You are who you are. I didn't ask any further. This was our first hug. It was clean, without any ambiguous or charming atmosphere. It was just a simple and warm hug. Sitting on the plane back to my home country again, I watched as the scenery of the small town gradually became too small to be seen, and then watched as the outline of the city where I had lived for more than 10 years gradually enlarged. I could feel my body trembling slightly. Those days seemed to have become a nightmare that I couldn't get rid of, and now, I was back here, facing those storms again. Of course, I wasn't stupid enough to go back to the Taylor family. Instead, I chose a nice hotel to stay in, to my surprise. Riley found me faster than the people from the Taylor family. She still spoke softly and gently as before, calling my name pitifully. Winnie, why did you leave without saying goodbye? We were all very worried about you. Her words made me feel a bit disgusted. All these years were enough for me to figure out many things. For example, why Mr. and Mrs. Taylor would blindly believe Heidi's one-sided story, and why Heidi would have the detailed production process of that song. Because my best friend had been speaking ill of me over and over again, telling Heidi everything about me as if it were a joke. It was her who gradually pushed the people around me to Heidi's side. I didn't answer Riley. I just looked at her with a smile. Long time no see, my dear best friend. I was waiting for the incident to ferment, waiting for her to see. Sure enough, Riley was taken aback. Just as she was about to say something more, a phone call interrupted her words. I reached out and motioned for her to answer it. Even from a distance, I could hear Heidi's hysterical voice. Riley, look at the internet. Something's wrong. Riley looked at the trending searches. Her face turned pale. The look in her eyes when she looked at me no longer had that false tenderness, but was filled with blatant viciousness. Winnie, you did this, you damned bitch. The straightforward viciousness sounded much more pleasant than the false concern. I imitated her, showed an innocent and gentle smile, and repeated again, long time no see, my dear best friend. The recording of the phone call Riley made to me was posted online, along with the chat records between her and Heidi. Interestingly, the content of their chats basically involved all the well-known girls in the circle. For those who were excellent, they would spread rumors, attributing the girls' achievements to men. For those they looked down upon, they would directly abuse them. Not only in their chat boxes, they would also hire online water army to post these remarks on various platforms. The most fatal thing was that a well-known fan of Heidi was exposed to be her own alternate account, and this so-called big fan had contributed a lot to the plagiarism incident at that time. While I was surprised that Andy could even obtain these things, I also lamented that Heidi was actually so involved in person. The entertainment industry is such a magical place. When something happens, if you play the victim, your fans will charge forward for you. But you can't guide your fans to carry out online violence against others, and you definitely can't get involved personally. In an instant, all the sharp blades of public opinion were directed at Heidi and Riley. The girls who were slandered jointly sued them, and netizens also found an outlet for their emotions. Since Heidi had always enjoyed resources and adoration in the identity of the little princess of the Taylor family, the Taylor family inevitably got implicated. The matter of the real and fake daughter also became widely known. The stock of the Taylor family plummeted, and Mr. Taylor became anxious. He found my contact information, but I didn't answer. To be precise, I cut off all external contacts. I was preparing a new song, which was a birthday gift from my teacher. This lovely little old lady deserves all my efforts. When I connected to the internet again, the direction of public opinion had basically stabilized, under the guidance of the people of the Taylor family. At first, some people still spoke for Heidi. Their parents said that Winnie is not a good person. Why are you still speaking for her? But later, those chat records showing the breakdown of their relationship were revealed. And my hospital diagnosis was also shown. The parents of the Taylor family were also severely criticized, and as a result, the stock of the Taylor family plummeted. Considering the interests of their partners, Zara's top-notch public relations team didn't mind squashing them along the way. What's more, those things had actually happened. Mrs. Taylor sent me a lot of messages. She kept calling me frantically. Coincidentally, the phone rang again. After thinking about it, I answered the call. The woman's voice with a sob came from the other end. Winnie, you finally answered the phone. I replied indifferently. What do you want, Mrs. Taylor? She seemed to be taken aback for a moment, and then continued to call. Winnie, if there's nothing else, I'll hang up. Mrs. Taylor, I answered calmly and indifferently. We all miss you. The company and the family have been greatly affected because of you. Can you issue an apology statement? The woman's voice was filled with deep fatigue. It was obvious that she hadn't had a good time these days. The property of the Taylor family will be left to you in the future. It's not good for anyone to make such a mess. Originally, I naively held a last glimmer of hope for them. Maybe in these few years, they could really understand that I didn't covet the family property. But now it seems that everything is just like a joke. I will hold a new song launch event in a few days, and I will issue a statement. Mrs. Taylor was overjoyed and wanted to say something more, but I had already hung up the phone. I would definitely issue a statement, but it wouldn't be an apology statement. It would be a statement of quitting the entertainment industry. 3 days later, there was a press conference. Knight, a prominent figure who was popular all over the world, had numerous hit songs and was deeply involved in the public opinion storm, was about to release a new song. This was a blatant hot topic, and everyone wanted a share of the pie. There were a lot of journalists present. They aimed their cameras and microphones at me, expecting my words to bring them traffic. This was a scene that I had already grown tired of seeing a few years ago. Now I was even more annoyed. I swept them indifferently and urged them in as calm a tone as possible. The song is a gift from my teacher and will be officially released at my teacher's birthday party tonight. Let's directly move on to the question and answer session. There was a moment of silence at the scene, and then it boiled over. Hands were raised one after another, for fear that not raising them high enough would cost them this chance to become famous. I randomly pointed at a journalist. He stood up eagerly and grabbed the microphone from the staff. Excuse me, Teacher Winnie, regarding the dispute with the Taylor family during this period. What do you want to say? He got straight to the point and entered the main topic from the very beginning. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that the people of the Taylor family were also watching me from the audience. Mr. and Mrs. Taylor were waiting for my answer, their eyes shining with anticipation. Then I will officially respond to everyone here and offer a sincere apology. I lowered my head slightly and spoke slowly. There was a slight commotion in the audience, and Mr. and Mrs. Taylor's expressions became smug. I couldn't help but raise the corners of my mouth and finished speaking with a smile, my voice firm. I need to apologize to myself. I stayed in an environment where everyone hated me for so long before I escaped, and I tortured myself for so many years. The journalist's expressions froze for a moment, and then there were cheers. The smug look on Mr. Taylor's face was replaced by anger and anxiety. I ignored them and pointed at the next journalist. Excuse me, Teacher Knight. Can you tell us about the creative process of your hit song that became popular? It was a standard question. I nodded and happily told the story of me and Alice, calling on everyone to care for these poor abandoned children. If my music can bring some warmth and care on your way forward, then everything I've done is meaningful. By the way, I said with a smile, I will use most of the proceeds from my songwriting to establish a foundation to provide economic and medical assistance to orphanages around the world. Then, I will quit the entertainment industry, go traveling, and live in different places. I casually revealed the most crucial information in a calm tone. The female host on the stage was the first to react and exclaimed in surprise, Teacher Knight is going to quit the entertainment industry. Then we won't be able to listen to your songs in the future. That's such a pity. I shook my head. I will just no longer show up in public. I will still continue to create when I have inspiration. Looking at Zara, who was also surprised beside me, I added with a smile, in the future, the operation of the songs I create will be completely entrusted to Zara and her team. This was a small gift I left for her. I winked at the stunned Zara, just as she had done in the coffee shop before. You left without a word many years ago, and now you're going to leave again. Have you considered the fans who have always supported you? As soon as these words were spoken, the whole audience fell silent, and everyone was waiting for my answer. I looked at him gently, not annoyed, but with a smile, and spoke slowly, as calmly as if I were telling someone else's story. A long time ago, I really cared about what others thought of me. Later, everyone accused me, saying that I was eager to compete and that I had a deep and scheming mind. I suffered from a very serious illness. I had a really painful time during that period, and every day I wanted to end my life. That's why I chose to leave. Later, I went to a strange place and met many gentle people, and then I understood a lot of things. Actually, Night has never needed fans. She is a singer, not a star. Her songs need support and love. But she doesn't. Winnie doesn't need them either. The scene remained silent. The anger on the journalist's face had disappeared, replaced by confusion and contemplation. Others were quickly taking notes of my words. As for the parents of the Taylor family, they looked dazed at the moment, perhaps only now, when they heard that I was going to give up everything, quit the entertainment industry, and leave far away. Did they truly believe that I didn't covet the property of the Taylor family and had never intended to drive Heidi away? The host on the stage had slightly red eyes. She was a fan of Winnie and had won the opportunity to host with her excellent ability. I gave her the last chance to ask a question. She looked at me gently and pitifully, as if she wanted to share the pain I had experienced during that period. Her voice was even a little trembling. Winnie, can you share with us how you got out of the shadow? Maybe it can give strength to those who have had the same experience. It could also help her understand this tenacious and pitiful girl better. I looked at her, and the memories of the small town began to linger in my mind, from the sound of the wind and the shadows of the trees, to the flowers and the music, and then to every customer who entered the coffee shop. After thinking for a long time, I spoke slowly. At first, I always wanted to leave this world, but the summer wind was too gentle, and the ivy was full of vitality, under the surrounding of the singing. A pleasant shade fell. In autumn, when the leaves had all fallen, the sunlight shone unobstructed, leaving golden streaks on the wooden table of the coffee shop. In winter, my friends would sit around the fireplace and drink hot cocoa. The church bells would ring at 12 o'clock, and the whole town could hear them. And in spring, my garden will be in bloom again. As I recalled, a smile gradually appeared on my face. Those scenes seemed to be right in front of my eyes. This part was later edited into a video, labeled with the word redemption, and accompanied by the girl praying at the end of the world as the background music. It was called the most healing video of the year and provided strength for many people to persevere. But all these were things that happened later. Naturally, I didn't know about them. I just quickly ended the press conference, not giving anyone a chance to find me, and rushed straight to the airport. In order not to cause trouble for my teacher, I visited her early in advance and conveyed my blessings. Then I didn't go to her birthday party. I couldn't wait to leave the entertainment industry and return to my small yard. That's all about this story. Do you have any insights after watching the above story?